Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm so glad you guys could join in on this lesson this week. I'm really excited about this one because this is a STEAM lesson. That means we're incorporating the arts. So it's science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. So I'm really pumped up about this because Miss Turnbough and I have teamed up together to give you guys a really cool lesson and an awesome activity for you guys to try out for yourselves once we get done. Now, the steps in this lesson today are pretty simple. You're going to want to make sure that you learn and watch first before you go about trying to create or do anything. So make sure you listen very carefully to Mrs. Turnbough and what she has to say about the 4 instrument groups and how they work and exactly what makes them special before you go any further on our lesson about creating something of your own, okay? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Turnbough, so here she is.
Hello again, Grand Prairie. It's Mrs. Turnbough. I wanted to talk to you about the 4 different instrument families, okay? Now, the one I know you always think of is percussion. Percussion is anything you can strike, shake, scrape. We have a lot of percussion instruments that we use at Grand Prairie. So we have drum set. We don't have a drum set, but this is a great example of percussion. Mr. Thielen's favorite, right? And gong. These are just a couple examples. Handbells. A lot of churches use these. They're very beautiful when played correctly. My personal favorite, xylophones, and there's a lot of different variations here. Marimbas, xylophones, glockenspiels, those are all percussion. So a piccolo is a very, very small flute. I'm talking like this small. Very high pitched sound, almost sounds like what you would think of a bird. We have the recorder, Miss Zudo's favorite. Saxophone. A reed flute. Look at this one. I bet you that one would be easy to make. We have bass clarinet. A slide whistle. Yep. That is considered a reedless woodwind, just like a flute. It does not have the reed in there. Next up, we have the brass. The brass instruments you would typically think are the golden ones, but here's the trick, okay? Because saxophones are gold, that doesn't mean they're brass. The saxophones are considered woodwinds because they use a thin piece of wood inside the mouthpiece that you actually almost have to bite down on, and the small piece of wood will vibrate as you blow into it. Okay, so that's why we have reedless woodwinds like flute and saxophone, which has the actual piece of wood. So just because it's golden colored does not mean it's a brass instrument. A brass instrument you blow through, but you also just are using the buzzing of your lips. So we know sound is vibration, right? Many of you have mentioned to me before when we were at Grand Prairie, I can see the drum vibrating, or I can see the bass bar vibrating, and that's exactly what is happening even when you cannot see it. A great example is to hold onto your throat and feel your vocal cords vibrating when you talk or sing. Everybody does that. Now, don't carry on too long or too loud. You don't want to annoy mom or dad. They might be working from home a lot too. So a brass instrument, you have this kind of mouthpiece there, and you would actually buzz your lips into the mouthpiece, and it takes a lot of practice to do. So some more like that are, this is technically a bugle because it doesn't have, it's like a trumpet without keys. That's the typical bugle song you always think of. This one is similar to a trumpet, but it's called a cornet. It's a little bit bigger, a little different. And here we have an actual trumpet. Okay, last category is strings. And this one is probably going to be easy for you because You know a lot of different string instruments. We have the violin, guitar. This is a lyre, kind of looks like a harp. And believe it or not, the piano is always a confusing one because it is considered percussion / strings. Because if you ever saw inside a piano, you would see many various shapes of strings. And what happens is the keys that you press actually tap the strings with a tiny little hammer inside. So that might be something fun to explore if you have a piano at home, and with mom and dad's permission, of course.
What I want to do is I want to give you a challenge. Your goal is going to be to just pick one of the instrument families. You don't have to think about all four. Just choose one that interests you. And you're going to try to create your very own instrument in that category. So if you're doing a percussion instrument, you're going to have to come up with some type of way using a bunch of different materials of creating a percussion instrument that you can kick or flick or scratch in order to make a sound. If you're doing a woodwind instrument, you would have to come up with some type of way of blowing onto or into the instrument in order to make a sound. Similarly, you would have to, if you were doing a brass, you would have to have some type of vibration with your lips to make a sound. And finally, if you're doing a stringed instrument, you would need to have some type of string that you could pluck or pull in order to make a sound. So your goal is to create your very own instrument and then send me a video or photo of all sorts of cool, fun sounds and songs that you are creating using your very own instrument. Okay? So with that said, why don't you guys start creating? I have a list posted in my description below of some ideas of materials that you could use in the different instrument categories, but if you want to be brave, just see what you can find around your house and see what you can create. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. You can send them to me on my Facebook page, YouTube, my email, however you want to get those videos and photos to me, parents. I would love to see what you come up with. We'll see you guys very soon.